Hi guys, welcome back to Picama Stitches. Today I'm going to be showing us how to make this trendy bubu dress that has a big bow on the side and this beautiful design. I know you're interested in this tutorial. Kindly like, share and subscribe. Stay to the end. Let's get right into it. So I have this beautiful Ankara print. I have 6 yards, but I didn't exhaust it, and I have this liquid Mikado fabric that I have from a leftover project that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead to fold our fabric. So guys, I have my fabric. It's on a fold of 4. The front is on fold and the back piece is on fold. We're going to be cutting both front and back piece together. So from the top here, you're going to measure. I've shown us how to fold this way in order to get a full length for your bubu dress, a longer length. You don't fold by the length of Ankara. Since it comes by 45, you fold by the width. Okay, so you're going to be using at least 3.5 yards of Ankara print to 4 yards. Okay, for this length I had 64 inches plus hemming allowance. So at the top part here, you're going to be marking 1 inch, which is going to be serving as our shoulder line and as our starting line, where all our measurements will be starting from. And once you're done marking that, we're going to go ahead and connect this into a straight line. Now from this line, we're going to be taking all our measurements. We're going to place our tape on this line and we're going to be marking our shoulder to bust point. For me, it's 11.5 inches, so whatever yours is, go ahead and mark that. After that line, I'm going to be marking my shoulder to waist point, which is 18.5, and after that I'm going to be marking my shoulder to hip point. I'm coming down by 10 inches from my waist to get that, and I connect it all into a straight line. So this is my bust point, waistline and my hip line, and we already have the full length. Now the next thing, on this folded part, I'm going to be marking my shoulder, my neck width, which is 4 inches. I'm working with 4 inches. And at this open part, I'm going to be coming down by 1.5 for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to be slanting my shoulder to my neck width, just the way you see me do. So you can come down by 1 inch, but I came down by 1.5. Whichever one you use, it's still fine. And connect it to your neck width just the way I did. Okay, so now you're going to be determining the length, the width you want. Remember, this is a cut together sleeve. So this fabric on fold, I have 21.5 inches. So it's going to be too long. I don't want mine to be this long, so I'm going to reduce it. So follow your shoulder slant. Okay, and I'm going to be working with 19 inches. Okay, and that 19 inches, I marked it here. That same 19 inches, I'm going to be marking it on my bust line, and I'll connect this line into a straight line. Now if you want your cut together sleeve to be long, you can use the whole width of your fabric. If you want to reduce it like I did, you can also do same, but connect it to your bust line. Okay, now after doing that, you're also going to determine the opening from this your shoulder slant to my bust line. For a plus size, 10 inches, 10.5, 11 is fine. I have 10.5 and this is perfect. Now for a slim person, 10 inches, 9 inches is also fine. If you want to reduce it, you can also reduce your sleeve opening. Okay, so at my bust point, I'm going to go ahead and mark my bust, round bust circumference divided by 4, and I'm adding 3 inches to that. Remember, this is a bubu dress, it's not fitted. And on my waistline, I'm going to be marking my waist round divided by 4. I'm also going ahead to add 3 inches to it, and I'll connect it to my bust point. At the hip area as well, I'm also going to be marking my hip round divided by 4, and I'm also adding 3 inches to that, and I'll connect it to my waist point. Now you can go ahead to mark. After marking what you have at your bust, you can take it straight down to the hem of the fabric. It's still fine, but I just wanted to give it a little bit of design. Okay, so whatever you have at the hip area, take it straight down to the hem of your fabric. Okay, remember, this is a kaftan bubu dress, is not fitted. Okay, so don't make it fitted if you want to have the exact effect you have on the thumbnail. So I'm taking exactly what I have at the hip area, with the sewing allowance of 3 inches straight down to the hem of my dress. So go ahead and connect yours, or you can take what you have on your bust all the way straight down to the hem. Okay, if your bust is not bigger than your hip. But if your hip is bigger than your bust, take what you have on your hip all the way to the hem. I hope this is clear. And go ahead and cuff this bust area in order to connect it to your sleeve opening. Now we'll go ahead to work on our neck. We already marked 4 inches for our neck width. Now for the neck depth for my back, I'm going to be using 1 inch for the back neck depth, and I'm going to connect this. Remember, we're cutting both front and back piece together. Now for the front neck depth, I'm going to be working with 8 inches. That's how deep I want mine to be. You can do more or you can do less. It totally depends on your choice. So it's a V neckline. I'm going to be connecting my 4-inch neck width to my 8 inches neck depth in a V form, just the way you see me do. So go ahead and connect yours, and after connecting that, we are done. The next thing we're going to do is to add 1/2 inch at the shoulder for our shoulder joining. We do not want any shortage, so I'm going to go ahead and follow the slanted line and add back 1/2 inch in order to join both front and back shoulders together and connect it just the way you see me do. And once you're done with that, you go ahead and cut this out. It's as simple as that. Now I've made so many tutorials on bubu on this channel, okay? So in case you're confused at any part, just watch. Now if you want a cut together pocket, I've done a tutorial on that as well. You can go ahead and connect if you have enough fabric, but I didn't want to add a pocket to mine. But if you want to add a pocket to yours, you can do that. I have a tutorial on this channel on how to achieve that with your bubu dress, either a cut together pocket or how to attach a separate pocket to your dress. That tutorial is on this channel, okay? And after doing that, just go ahead and cut out. It's as simple as that. Now the main focus on this dress is how to create that bow effect, okay? I know we're already familiar. If you've been following me, you're already familiar with cutting a bubu dress. I also want to say a very big thank you to my subscribers, those that watch the tutorials that we upload, and those that like, share, and subscribe, my OGs and my newcomers. I want to say thank you. I'm really grateful for the love and support. May God bless you and also bless the work of your hands the way you've supported me. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. So make sure you cut the back neck depth first. Then after that, go ahead and separate the front from the back and cut out the front neck depth. Now after doing this, we're going to go ahead and cut out facing, because we're going to be using facing to work on this fabric to turn the neck line. Okay, so this is what we have. This is so beautiful and I'm loving this already. Okay, so let's go ahead to cut out our facing. Now we're going to be working on the back facing first. I have this small piece of fabric and it's on a fold of 2. You're going to fold it in 2, the same way your main piece is on fold. Now you're going to ensure that this center part that is on fold matches the center of your neckline as well. Can you see the way I'm placing it? Okay, make sure everything matches perfectly, and then go ahead and trace the neck depth and the shoulder exact thing that you have. Okay, now for my shoulder width, I worked with 2.5 inch because I didn't have enough fabric. I'm going to be using the remaining fabric to make another tutorial for us. Okay, so I had to manage what I had. Now after tracing it, this is what I have. Now for the length of my facing, I'm going to be making it 3 inches. And I'm going to curve it and connect it back to the shoulder width. Okay, you can decide to leave yours straight if you want it straight this way, but I want mine to have a little bit of curve. That's why I'm creating this curve that you're seeing, and the length is 3 inches. I connected it back to the shoulder slope. Okay, and we're done with the back facing. It's as simple as that. You can decide to add stay to this to have more structure, but this Ankara already has structure. It's a hard one, so I didn't add facing to mine. Sorry, I didn't add a stay to mine. So we'll go ahead now to cut out the front facing. This my facing is also on fold. Make sure it's well aligned, okay? Let the center of your front piece match with the center of your facing, just the way you see me do. Take your time and place this accurately, and after doing that, you go ahead and cut out the neck depth the same way. Now the shoulder width of both front and back of your facing has to align. The shoulder width is also 2.5 inch for the front facing, okay? So make sure the shoulder width matches, but the depth can be different. Now for the front depth, you can also leave it straight, but I just went ahead to create a little curve as well, okay? There's really no calculation. You can leave yours straight or you can curve it out. So I curved mine out a bit, and then our front facing is ready. So can you see, when you match up the shoulder width, everything matches up. I worked with 2.5 inches. So you're going to go ahead and turn your neckline with your facing and iron it out. So now let's create that design at the front of our bubu dress. First, you're going to determine which of the sides of the front you want to create it, either on your left hand or on your right hand side. But the design was created on the left hand. So on the left hand side, from the neck width, you're going to mark 4 inches. I marked 4 inches for mine. And for the length of this, I made it 1 inch below my bust point, which is 13 inches. 13 inches was what I marked. I came down by half of an inch. Remember, we're going to be joining the shoulder with ½ inch. I deducted that ½ inch, and after that I marked down 13 inches. That was 1 inch below my bust point. I hope this is clear. And make sure this line is a bit slanted. It mustn't be straight. Can you see? And then just go ahead and connect it this way. So can you see what we have? I'm going ahead to confirm this so I'll know the strip of fabric to cut out for that part. So let's go ahead to cut out the strip of fabric. So this is the little fabric, the leftover fabric I have that I'm going to be working with. So the first thing I'm going to be taking out is my bow, because I want my bow to be big. I'm going to manage this fabric as much as I can. So the length of my bow on fold, I want it to be 10 inches. I'm going to adjust this to ensure I have 10 inches. So meaning when you open this up is 20 inches, on fold is 10 inches. And then the length of this my bow is 17 inches. Okay, that's how wide I want it to be. And I feel if it's wide, it comes out more beautiful. It shouldn't be small. That's the inspiration. Okay, so on fold, the length is 10, the width is 17 inches. So we're done with our bow. When we ruche the center, when we gather the center, it will have that big effect. So this is the only fabric I have left. I really need to manage this. Now remember the measurement we took, we had 13 inches. So now I'm going to be marking that 13 inches. I later extended it to 15 inches. So I'm going to be cutting 17 inches. I'm going to be adding 2 inches to what I marked in front. Why I'm adding that 2 inches is so that I will have excess. It's better to always have excess. Now on fold, I want the width of this fabric to be 2 inches. So meaning when you open this up, is 4 inches, on fold is 2 inches. Okay, the strap at the center front is 2 inches after sewing it and turning it out. So I'm going ahead to mark 4 inches. Then I'm going to be adding a little bit of allowance to stitch it, because when I turn it out, I want it to be exactly 2 inches. Okay, so make sure you have 2 inches of fabric when you're done sewing. So when I put it together and stitch with 1/4 of an inch, I'll be left with 2 inches. So since I don't have enough fabric, I'm going to place this and cut out 2 more pieces of this. One is going to be longer. That's what we're going to be using to tie on the bow, and then the shorter one is what we're going to be placing on the chest of the front piece. So what I mean is we're cutting out, why I'm cutting out 2 is because my fabric is not long enough. I'm going to be joining mine. But if you have a long fabric, go ahead and cut out ×2 of what you measured on the front of your dress, okay, and cut out a shorter one, which is the exact thing that you cut out. I hope this is clear. So once you're done, since my fabric is not long, I'm going to be joining these two to have one long piece. Then I'll fold it in two and sew it and flip it over. And then this is the shorter one for what we're going to be sewing right on the fabric. I'll also place it on fold and sew it. Then once I'm done, I'll align the center seam. Make sure the seam line is on the center, okay, and iron this. And then for my bow, I'm going to sew up all the corners, okay, and then I'm going to open a little part at the center to bring this out. So this is what I mean, okay. We don't want any stitch line on the sides of our bow. We need this to be as neat as possible. So can you see I've stitched all the sides and I created a little opening to use to flip it over to the right side. So this is what I mean. We have a shorter strap and a longer strap of fabric. The longer strap will be what we use to wrap up this bow, and the shorter strap is what we'll sew directly on the front piece. So can you see what I mean? When you're done, bring your seam line to the center like this, and one part of this short one will be closed up, one part will be open. And then for this one, I've gone ahead to sew. I did the exact same thing. The seam line is at the center, and I brought it all out from a little opening here. Can you see? I'll use my hemming gum or my thread to sew it down. So iron all of this out, and then I'll bring all of this to show us what we have. So can you see I've gone ahead to turn my facing and I've ironed it down. I've also ironed my bow. Can you see how bold and beautiful this is? I've ironed this out. Ensure the seam line is at the center, okay, and the longer strip, I've also ironed it out neatly as well, and we'll keep that aside. And then for the main fabric, I've gone ahead to turn both front and back with my facing, and I've also ironed this down neatly. Make sure you iron it neatly. You can use your hemming gum to keep your facing in place. Now once I'm done, I'm going to be serging, that's weaving all of the rough edges also with the facing, but you can go ahead and hem it, fold it in two and hem it if you want to, okay. So this is our front. I've gone ahead to turn this neatly as well. So we're going to keep the back piece aside, okay. Let's bring in our facing, our bow and our two straps. So you're going to gather this center. Can you see the way I'm folding this? You're going to fold it this way. Make sure it's at the center, okay. And then you're going to be bringing in the longer strip of fabric, okay. Now after pleating it this way, you're going to put the longer strip across it this way, like using it to wrap it up. Can you see what I have? I'm going to use my pin to hold this in place because we're also going to be making some alterations to this bow, okay, so that we can attach it neatly to our dress. So I'll just use my pin to hold this strap in place on my bow. Then I'll show us how to attach this to the front piece of our dress, just the way you saw me do earlier, okay. Please, if you've watched this video up to this point, kindly give this video a thumbs up, give it a like if you're learning something, which I know that you are. Thank you so much, guys. So just go ahead and open up your front piece and let's go ahead and attach the strap. So this is what I mean. I later came down from my bust point by 2 inches. Can you see the extension I had? I extended it by 2 inches. So meaning I had 15 inches, but I cut out a strap of 17 inches. Like I always say, it's better to have excess than shortage. So the open part of this your strap is going to be at the shoulder area. The part that you had sewn up will be at the lower part. Now can you see what I mean? The seam lines that we sewed this strap is under. Your work has to be neat, okay. So when you place it, you're going to bring in your bow and determine if where you're placing your strap is okay with you. Now you really need to work with your eyes here. Visualize what you want, okay. Can you see what I have? If after placing this you're fine with it, then you can go ahead to sew it up. Okay, if you're not fine with the way the line is, you can always readjust, make some readjustments. Okay, so I'm fine with mine. The placement is fine with me. I'm going to go ahead and pin down my strap, and after pinning down my strap, I'm going to sew up the 3 corners neatly. Okay, with a very tiny stitch very close to the edge. You're going to sew this way, sew the lower part, and sew the other part, and iron it down. So can you see what I have? And while sewing, please take out your facing. Do not stitch with your facing. Now I'm going to go ahead now to trim off the excess at the shoulder area. Can you see? It's always good to have excess than to have shortage. Okay, so can you see, after stitching this now neatly, I'm going to show us how to attach the bow. Now for the bow, I told us we're going to be making some adjustments. I've gone ahead to leave 1/2 inch excess on this rope. Now this 1/2 inch I left at the top part of the bow is for us to use to stitch the bow down to the main piece. Okay, I'll turn this over and show us what I mean. Don't get confused, guys. Just pay close attention. Look closely. Now this is your bow. Sorry, this is how your bow is supposed to be. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you leave a little bit of excess at the top of this your bow. That means you're going to adjust the rope a bit. Now you flip it over. This is the essence of that excess that we left. You flip your bow over and stitch this neatly. Once you're done, you flip your bow to the right side. Now why we're doing this is so that our seam line will be hidden inside, just for us to have a neat work. I'll explain this again. Place your bow this way, flip it over. Okay, so you turn it over and then you stitch here down neatly. You stitch it close. Make sure you've placed your bow neatly. Can you see? I came up by 1.5 inch, okay, from the first strap, and then you stitch this down so that when you flip it over, everything will sit pretty. I really hope this is clear. Okay, and then when you're done, you can go ahead and tack the edges down. Okay, make sure everything is placed neatly. Arrange this neatly and sew this place up nicely, and then you go ahead and tack the edges in place. But please, you sew here first and then flip it over. I'm saying this over and over so you can understand. I really want you to get this. Then place your bow well, and then you go ahead and tack here. I'll go ahead and do that and show us what we have. So can you see? I've gone ahead to tack this. Can you see? It's well placed. So go ahead and tack these places with a matching thread. You can tack them down so it stays in place. Okay, and I've gone ahead to stitch mine. Can you see what I have? This is so neat. Make sure your work is neat. Okay, now after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to join both front and back piece together, right sides facing each other. Okay, and then you're going to be joining the shoulders with 1/2 inch that we left for joining. Okay, go ahead and join the shoulders with 1/2 inch. Make sure the bodies are well aligned. You can use your facing to wrap this up and turn it, or you can go ahead to join the shoulders with 1/2 inch. After joining, go ahead and open up your sleeves and hem with 1/2 inch, and then 1 inch. Shape the sides and hem the lower parts as well. So guys, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I hope you've learned one or two. I've gone ahead to hem my sleeve, and look at our bow sitting so neat and pretty. Emphasis on neatness. Okay, your work must be neat. And then go ahead and notch the curved sides of your sleeve so it relaxes the way you see it, well relaxed. Look at our neckline sitting flat and pretty, and our bows in place. I held this down with my pin, but I'm going to be tacking this down later with a matching thread. Look at the sides and the bodies. I've hemmed the lower parts as well. Please, if this tutorial was helpful, kindly give this tutorial a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, because more interesting tutorials are coming your way. Thank you guys, and bye bye.